Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. So all the information that I will be presenting is based on the teachings of the Vedic Scriptures. Now the Vedic Scriptures are the most ancient scriptures. Actually, they were written down 5,000 years ago. However, the knowledge itself is eternal. So prior to being written down, it was passed down orally from one perfect master to the next. Such a line of perfect teachers is known as a disciplic succession, or parampara. A parampara is necessary for the truth to descend in its pure form. We're in the parampara known as the Brahma Sampradaya, and we feel very fortunate to receive our knowledge through this lineage. So I always like to make it clear this is not my opinion, see. I'm just trying to pass on this eternal science. So the very word nectar is quite attractive, isn't it? You know, I remember quite a few years ago now, and it may still be in existence, but there's a company based in Los Angeles that made different types of ice cream and little ice cream pies and so on. And the name of the company was Natural Nectar. And it was like, wow, natural nectar, I wonder what's inside there. You know, very attractive, just the name. And the ice cream was good too, by the way. And if you want to sell a product, say for instance, peach juice. If you just put on the can peach juice, that's nice, it's probably pretty good, some people will be attracted. But if you put peach nectar, completely different. People say, oh, peach nectar, ooh, I want some of that, you know. Double your sales, one word. And it's attractive because really we know that that's what we're looking for. Everybody is looking for a nectar. But we're not talking about the nectar in an ice cream bar or the nectar in a can of peach juice. We're looking for the nectar of life. See? That which is ourself, that which is deep within us. We want that experience. And so that's what we do. We go through life looking for the nectar. Where's the nectar? Where's the nectar? See? You know, I think there's some correlation between looking for this sweetness of life and eating so much sugar. You know what I mean? It's like, why do we eat so much sugar? Is it really that good? You know? And we know it's not good for the body, but the point is, we look for it. So the sweetness on the tongue is a far distant reminder of what we're really looking for. You know? Because we'll explain as we go along, this is how it's supposed to be. But it's not. And that's the disappointing part. See, even those things which promise this sweetness of life, this nectar, you know, this experience, you know, even if it's sweet in the beginning, it becomes more and more bitter and often ends in very bitter taste, you know. Life in general is often like that, you know. This is, when I say general, I mean general. You could say, well, I know somebody that didn't fit into that example, you know. But really, the baby starts off like, wow, this is going to be fun. You know, I'm going to have a good time. And he's looking at the world and everything's new. And every day he learns something and he gains more skills. And, ooh, life is good. And you know, this may be on an upswing for a little while. But as we get, you know, over the hump, and the hump can be whenever it is. You know, it can be at 12, or it can be at 80, you know, but things start going down and life gets more and more bitter. We have experiences in life, you know, that are supposed to be not like they turn out. Oh, and it just becomes more bitter and we're disappointed again and frustrated and we try to make it happen, but it doesn't. And then the body, and we get old, if we live that long, starts falling apart. And then we're dealing with all kinds of physical problems. I can't do the things that used to give me a little pleasure, but I can't even do them anymore. Because the body's too old. Used to get a lot of pleasure from doing that. Now all I can do is think about it. See the memories of the good times. But really, during those good times, they weren't as good as we remember they are, right? We think about, how good it was. But really, back then, it wasn't that good. We're just going, it could be better, So anyway, this is how it is. And then we go and go and go down, down, down. Things become more and more bitter, And again, in general, I'm not saying it's like this for everybody, but many people in elderly bodies, they're kind of bitter about life in general. Like, I did this whole deal. I was supposed to get this. I was supposed to get that. I worked hard. I achieved this or achieved that, or I didn't. And here I am. What did I get, really? And the only thing to look forward to is the end game. Bitter. It's the old humbug of Christmas, right? Scrooge. Money, everything, but bitter. It's disappointing, but it's not really supposed to be like that. You see? So how do I change all these things? How do I make it like it's supposed to be? By learning the truth. That's how. In the Bible, it says, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." This is a universal truth. It's not biblical truth. It just happens to be contained in that book and well quoted by many people. See? But it's an eternal truth. The truth is the truth. There's no sectarian truths, you see. We speak from and operate on the platform of eternal truth. It's always true. It's not a sectarian truth, a religious belief truth, of a culture or a religion or a society. No, it's absolutely always true. And this is a universal truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Free from what? One, free from the disappointments of life. Free from the always looking for what I know I need, but never finding it. Free from all the illusions about life. So, the truth begins with the understanding of who we really are. You could say, well, come on, I know who I am. If I passed out a questionnaire and the first thing was identify yourself, everybody could answer the question. Nobody would say, gee, I don't know. See? Everybody would fill all the blanks. But would it be true? No, it wouldn't be. See? Because we really don't know who we are. So the Vedic teaching begins with this basic understanding of our real identity. Now, the Vedas actually say to everyone, we should all seriously ask this question, who am I? But really, nobody asks the question because we think we know the answer. We all have our identities. We've had them our whole life. We even have them in our minds. We have them on our lips, even in our pockets, right? This is who I think I am. This is who I tell others I am. Hey, I can prove it. Here's my passport, my driver's license, whatever. See? This is me, but is it really? Is this our true identity? And if we're open-minded, and we have to be open-minded to learn the truth, by the way. If we're open-minded, receptive to the truth, we will discover all this identity that we proudly present is simply a compilation of many labels. And the labeling process begins at birth. So all of us here tonight, as soon as we took birth, received one of two labels, male or female. We still identify like that today. I'm a man or I'm a woman. At the same time, we get another label according to our race, Caucasian, Negroid, whatever it is. And of course, our national identity, very strong. I am Canadian. See? I'm American. Driving here from King City, actually, we came today. Many, many flags flying in front of people's houses. Canadian flags. I'm Canadian. You go to America, American flags. I'm American. You see? Another label. And then, of course, our family identity. We belong to this family. And unfortunately, this identity is so strong that every day on this planet, one person kills another person just because they got a different label. And this is just the beginning. Many, many labels come and go throughout our entire life. So once again, at birth, we're also known as babies. Then kids, we start school. Oh, now we're students. See? A few more years go by and we become infamous teenagers. And then finally adults. We take up some profession in life and we're known accordingly. Doctors, lawyers, secretaries, nurses. Then we get married. Oh, immediately we're a husband or a wife. We have a child, now we're parents, fathers, mothers. A few more years roll by, grandfathers, grandmothers. And this is how we see ourselves. This is me. This is who I am. And this continues on and on until we finally get the last label. Dead. But looking closely, we see this is all in relation to our material bodies. Yes, it's true, the body is male or female, black or white, old or young, big or little, whatever the body is, it is, and that's true. But the question is this who we are? Now, every day we all take our pilgrimage to the mirror to see how we look. Sometimes we're a little disappointed. We always come back the next day. Gee, maybe there's been some improvement. Usually not, but we hope, you know. I think that's where the saying, hope burns eternal. I think that's where it comes from. You know. But do we really see ourselves? So the question is obvious. Am I this material body? If we want the most authoritative answer, we should go to the revealed scriptures of the world. And there we quickly learn, no, you're not the material body. But this is the modern world. Very rare does anyone go to Scripture to find the truth in life. However, we do readily accept the conclusion of the scientists. Oh, we like the scientists because they prove things. Well, uniquely enough in this case, the scientists have proven in the laboratories that we're not our material bodies. Because they have discovered there's no cell in the human body that lives more than 5 years. And some cells have a very short life. For instance, the lining of the stomach, those cells live 5 days. Our skin cells, 1 month. Liver cells, 6 weeks, etc. But in 5 years, everything has changed. So if I'm looking at a photograph of myself taken 10 years ago, the eyes in the photograph are actually different than the eyes I'm looking at the photograph with. They're actually not the same eyes. According to this scientific formula, if I'm 35 years old, I've had 7 bodies. But of course, we all know we're not 7 different people. Everybody knows, hey, I'm still me. So the changing factor is the material body, but the constant factor is ourself. So we're not these material bodies. Now, at this point, some people become meditative, introspective. They begin to look inside to find out who they really are. And when we look inside, what do we find? Oh, well, there's emotion, desire, sentiment, feeling, will. These are all very real. And it's easy to conclude, aha, this is who I really am. Maybe we even have an experience that reinforces this. Let's say we're very emotionally upset. We recognize that when people look at us, they don't see us. All they see is the outside cover. Okay? So we might feel very lonely. Some people even say, gee, nobody really knows me. But we must confirm this with Scripture, and especially the Vedic Scripture, because it's very detailed in this knowledge. And when we do, we find we've made yet another mistake. This is not who we are either. This is actually another material body. And it's called the subtle mental body, sometimes referred to as the astral body. I know some of you heard of the astral body, right? So really we have two bodies. We've got our physical body, and then we have our mental body, exactly like having on two layers of clothing. We have on an outer layer and an under layer. But the question still remains, who am I? So once again, we go to the Vedas, and there we find that we are in a different category of energy. Now, everything is energy. Our bodies are material energy. However, we learn that we are spiritual energy. Furthermore, we find we're a tiny spark of spiritual energy. See? We learn that material energy is temporary, and that is very easy to see. We know all too well our bodies are very temporary. So much so we don't even want to talk about it. Hey, don't talk about that. But even the more permanent things like this building, come back here in 1,000 years. Gee, where was that lecture again? See? Temporary. However, we learn that spirit is eternal. Eternal means no beginning and no end. So, we are eternal. We also learn that material energy is non-living. And again, that's easy to see. This table or this microphone, there's no life. However, we learn that spirit is life itself. There is no such thing as live matter. There is no such thing as dead spirit. We are the life force in the body. And as long as we're present in the body's called alive. But actually, this is not true. The body's dead. We are alive. And that becomes very obvious at the time of death. At the time of death, we leave the body. And at that moment, the body reveals its true nature. Can't even sit in a chair, it falls on the floor. See? So we are the life force in the body. Therefore, our true identity is spirit soul. Spirit meaning that we are spiritual in essence. Soul meaning this individual spiritual spark that we eternally are. We never become someone else, and we never cease to exist. Now, for some people, this is very depressing news. What? I'll always be me? Gee, I thought it was going to be over soon. Sorry, it's never over. However, when they learn the truth about life, this becomes very wonderful news. So once again, we are spirit soul, and we further learn we're a part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. There is a Supreme Soul from which we all come. We are known as the Atma, and the Supreme Soul is the Paramatma. Now, understanding this, we can begin to understand life. You see, there is nothing more complicated. There's nothing more misunderstood. See, nothing more confusing than life. Like the scientists don't even know what it is, right? Like, what is it? They have to come up with an answer, right? But they don't really know. It's just something that, and where did it come from? And what happens to it? And where does it go? And all those things, see? But usually our lives are so, complicated with just day-by-day affairs, or we purposely stay on a very shallow level of thought. We never even consider these things. We just get up in the morning and go through our day and go to sleep at night and, do it again tomorrow. Have all kind of aids that we've developed to help us through the day. Various chemical stimulants and coffees and, the biggest thrill in life is eating and, can't wait for breakfast, can't wait for lunch, can't wait for dinner, can't wait for the snack, can't wait for the next stick of chewing gum, whatever. We don't go very deep because it's safe. See, it's safe. We don't have to get disturbed. But a few people actually step out of this and just want to know. I want to know more. I want to know what life is. Right? But again, unless they ask the right person, they go to the right source, someone who has the knowledge, they still won't know. The truth will set us free. Must be truth. See, nothing else can do it. So, now we've established that we're spirit soul, right? Now, as a spirit soul, we have certain inherent, eternal characteristics. In other words, that which is absolutely part of our nature. It's always part of our nature. See, it's our natural being. And one of those, and this is, what we're talking about tonight, is it is natural for the soul to be happy. It's natural. That's why every single person wants to be happy. And we're not just talking about people in human bodies. See, a lot of times in our human form of life, we just think that people are all humans. And all the other forms of life, the animals and the insects and the reptiles and the birds and the fish and the plants, they're just that. It's plants and it's animals and it's, we don't consider them people. I mean, like, we're people. They're not people. See? But that's wrong too. That's part of the illusion. See? No, all life forms are the same on the spiritual level. We're all spirit souls in many, many different types of bodies. So the spirit soul in the tree body is no different than the spirit soul in the human body. It's just his body is different. See, he's encaged in a different body. See, but he's the same. The person in the dog body is the same. Everybody's the same on the spiritual level. See, so that's why all life forms, meaning the presence of a soul in a material body, are trying to find happiness. You ever notice your dog wants to be happy? You notice that? Your cat? Every single living entity wants the same thing. They just have different ways to achieve it. They have different abilities to try to manipulate things, to bring it about, you see. And the further down the scale we go to the, lower forms of life, and lower forms meaning higher or lower forms of bodies, which award greater or lesser facilities, we find they have less capacity to change things. We have a human form. It's very adept at changing things. And isn't that what we're doing every day? Trying to change something, arrange our material situation a little differently, so I'll be a little more happy as a result. You see, I'll get a better job. I'll get a different relationship. I'll have kids. I'll get rid of my kids. Whatever. See, get rid of this boss. Whatever. Get some new goodies, get some new clothes, get a new car, get a new cell phone, win a competition, whatever it is, but we're always trying to manipulate our life, meaning our external arrangements, somehow so I'll be more happy than I am now. We have great capacity to do that in the human form, see. So that's what we're doing. In unprecedented ways, see, more than ever before, but it's all presenting more and more chaos and havoc in the world, see, and it's not achieving the goal. Will you admit that? I hope so. See, there's statistics to prove it. See? We're trying so hard to be happy, but we aren't. Why? Because we're in the illusion I'm the body. Even if philosophically, yes, I'm spirit, I know, but our everyday life is based on the illusion, I'm the body. And therefore, if I make my body happy, I'll be happy because that's me, right? And how do you make the body happy? What are the facilities that bring joy to the body? The senses, right? We have various working senses. We've got our eyes looking for pleasure. Wow, where's the pleasure? Where's the pleasure? From morning till night. See? So that's one of the organs of action that we always are using to try to find pleasure. Let's go to the movies. Let's watch this. Let's watch that. Let's read this. Let's look at this pretty face. Let's look at this handsome guy. Oh, I like this. I like whatever our idea is of pleasure. You see, that brings. I like it. So the eyes are very active in this pursuit. The ears the same. See, everybody's walking around with wires in their ears. Why? Because we like sound. You know, look like a bunch of FBI agents used to look. You know, everybody walking around with wires and I think I got him covered, you know. You know, now it's just like you can't even talk to anybody. Hey, can you tell me how to get They don't even hear you. They're just like staring blank. Then they finally pull it out. Oh, what? You see, the ears are seeking pleasure. That's why they're doing it. You see, looking for pleasure. You know, the nose always. That's what perfume's all about. Oh, we like flowers that are fragrant. Oh, it brings pleasure. You see, that's how bakeries are successful. They leave the door open. You see, we walk down the and the nose just drags us right in there. Yes, I'll have 2 donuts and 1 eclair and, you know, whatever. And the tongue is just wild. You know, I mean, it's just like all over the place. You know, lapping it up. That's what it means. Like a dog laps up water. You see? So that's what the tongue's all about, lapping it up. You know, why do people get ice cream in cones so they can wrap their tongue halfway around? One of the last pleasures that goes for older people. They can't digest food at all, but they can lick the cone. Oh, so nice, nectar. You see? And the sense of touch. You see, always connecting us. You know, that includes the genital. Ooh, I like this and like that. Pleasure, that's what it's all about. And of course, everybody that produces the items of pleasure, they know these things and they just simply appeal to the senses. You know, if you have a restaurant, you know, one of the things is how the food tastes, but it's also very important how it looks. You see, the presentation is half the game, you know. So the more senses we can stimulate at one time, our conclusion is the more happy I'll be. So we watch the television with the eyes, we eat with the tongue, we're listening to something else, you know, and whatever. But what? It doesn't work. See, why? Because it's not who we are. It might bring pleasure to the sense for a moment, but it doesn't bring pleasure to us, the spirit soul. And that's why it's so frustrating. Because it's supposed to, but it doesn't. And I could get into the whole other thing of relationships, but I'm not going to go there tonight because it's for another time. But this idea is very clear. I cannot find the nectar of life through sensual enjoyments. See? I can't. You know. So we have to alter our consciousness, don't we? Just try to keep playing the game. That's what alcohol's all about. You know, people can't do anything, they think, unless they have some alcohol to accompany it to make it better. What is a party without alcohol? People go, what? There's no such thing. A party without alcohol? Are you kidding me? You know, that's what party means. It means alcohol. And then a few other accompanying pleasures. Let's say sensual stimulations, you see. Or they can't do anything without ending whatever that is. Oh, let's play some soccer, football, see, and then have beer. You see. Or let's go somewhere into a restaurant and have some drinks. Or let's go to the bar and get drunk. See. It's all about that, because just doing the activity is not good enough. You have to add more illusion to the game. See, that's what alcohol does, right? It alters our consciousness. But even that's not enough, so they have to develop all the drugs, right? And then they've come up with stronger and stronger drugs to put us in deeper, deeper levels of illusion. See? Up to the point now where it's killing people left, right, and center, you see. But life is so empty, people are willing to take the chance to die of a drug overdose rather than just deal with reality of life. Really, I mean, that's what's happening. These opiates that are now, all the kids are doing it. You know, kids are just killing themselves. I read just a few days ago in America, 147 people die of these drug overdoses a day. A day. So when 9/11 happened in America, and you know, a lot of people died, I forget the number now, 3,500 or whatever it was. That amount of people are dying from drug overdose every 3 weeks. People don't make a big deal about that. You know, little people, some people, oh, we must stop it. We must lock up your medications, you know, so your kids can't eat them. You know, if you're living the right lifestyle and you're healthy like you're supposed to be, you wouldn't need the medications to lock up. Lock up your peaches and your apples and your bananas, you know, so the kids can't get them, you know. No, give them to the kids. You know, that's the drugs we need, the natural drugs, the real thing. You know, keep the body healthy. That's the idea. But don't think a healthy body is going to make you happy. It makes life a lot more pleasant, but it's not going to solve the problem of the emptiness inside, because that's not who we are. On any level, we're not the body. We're not the mind. All these things for the mind don't work either. All these positive thinking courses, mental control courses, you know, think you're great and all that. It's not who we are either. You might convince yourself, oh, yes, now I'm happy. I'm so wonderful. I'm so beautiful. It doesn't work. On the ultimate level, it doesn't work. You see, but that's all we know. We don't know anything else. We don't know. I'm spirit soul. If I want to be happy, I have to make myself, the spirit soul, happy. If I want to experience the nectar of life, I have to have some spiritual nectar. Yeah. So the few rare people on the planet that are experiencing this in their real life, you see, they're happy all the time. They don't need any of the stimulants. They don't need any of the artificial means to be happy. They just are who they are. They've come back to their natural condition, you see. And this is as good as it can get. You see, you can't bring anything to a higher level than its natural condition. That's the best. Like water. The nature of water is pure, right? I mean, that's the natural condition of water. Pure. And of course, we know pure water is the best for the body. It tastes the best. It has the best effect on the body, and so on. Pure water, that's how it was designed by the Supreme Lord, right? But what have we done? Lord man has come along and contaminated the water all over the planet now. You know, you can't even drink water out of a tap anymore. You know, when I was a kid, if somebody told me you will be paying more for water than you do for gasoline for a car, like, come on, man, nobody pays for water. You know, you got a well, you drink it, it's good. It's okay. Now, everybody buys water. You got to pay big money for water. You know, why? It's so contaminated. You got to buy filtration systems to put in your house. See? But the example is a good example because water is very easily contaminated, very easily contaminated. And in its contaminated state, it can do great damage. It can even kill you, depending on how contaminated it is. But you can purify the water, right? You can run it through a filtration system, see, and bring it back by removing the contamination, bring it back to its natural state. Now it's back where it should be, and it's going to do what it should do, see. So we, the spirit soul, have become contaminated with our association in the material world with the material energy. The illusory energy is called in the Vedas, see. Our consciousness is contaminated. And out of a contaminated consciousness comes a contaminated mind and a contaminated body and a contaminated planet. I mean, who can deny that? right? But the good news is we can purify the consciousness just like we can purify the water and bring it all back to its natural state. And in its natural state, there will be the resultant happiness, pleasure, nectar. Life will be seen as it really is, not through the veil of illusion. I won't be under some illusion that if I make my body happy, I'll be happy. If I get more money, if I get more success, if I change my relationship, if I do this, do that, I get promoted in my job, I win, the Olympics or whatever, that I'll be happy. I've gone beyond that. I'm not caught in that trap, see? So I don't spend all my time and energy in this way. I know where to focus my energy. I know where to focus my time. We all have abilities. We all have talents. I know what to do with those, you see. And it all comes down to the essence of this perfect knowledge, is that the Supreme Person is the object that we should focus on, see. He is the original enjoyer, and He is the original source of all pleasure. Just like the sun is the source of so many things, it's the source of light for sure. See? So, if I can align myself with the Supreme, if I can actually make it so my life is dovetailed with the Supreme, then I'm connected with the source of pleasure. It's called the Reservoir of Pleasure in the Vedic teaching. And when I'm connected with the reservoir, there's no shortage of water. Right? There was a big drought, in California for the last 4 years or something. And the reservoirs went dry or are so low that it was, very, very scary, to use a word that everybody can relate to. We're running out of water, you see. And of course, water is necessary to support life, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So, the reservoirs were running out of water, so therefore everything was drying up. But when the reservoirs are full, there's no shortage of water. Everything is supplied in abundance. So the reservoir of pleasure, which never is depleted, is the Supreme Lord. A relationship with the Supreme Lord taps us into that reservoir. And when we're tapped into that reservoir, inside that nectar which we, the spirit soul, are seeking, is now as it should be. I've come back to my natural condition. This is the nature of the soul. And this is why anything short of this feels unnatural. It's not as it should be. Something's missing, but we don't know what. Now we can understand what is missing. See, this is not trendy. What I'm speaking is not a trendy philosophy, because the trendy philosophy is increase your sensual pleasure. See, the problem is you're not free enough. Maybe you have some hang-ups about these sensual pursuits. Oh, you must get rid of those. See, we must remove all obstacles to open freedom to enjoy as much as we want in any way we want, and nobody can tell us it's incorrect. See, this is what we think will produce a higher and higher level of standard of life. But of course, it's being proved day in and day out. It's doing the exact opposite. It's destroying the pleasure of life, you see. So many scientific studies are showing this is true, And what is the final act of desperation when you've tried to find happiness here and here and here and here and here and here? And it didn't work, and it didn't work, you see. And you're really, really determined to find it, but you get more and more depressed and more disappointed in your pursuit because I did this, and everybody said this would work, and it didn't. Then what is the ultimate desperate act after completely exhausting the avenues of pleasure? Suicide. That's a statement that says, I give up. I cannot be happy. It is too big a job. I can't do it. I'm crushed inside. I'm destroyed inside. That's what is going to happen next. Because that's the only thing you haven't tried. Suicide. Mm-hmm. Now, this is obviously an act of desperation, which doesn't work because we're eternal spirit souls. You can't kill yourself, number one. So these people are very, very surprised when they do this, and then I'm still me, still not happy. Now I got even additional problems. I really made a mess. But anyway, statistics show that every 40 seconds on this planet, a person commits suicide. That's how bad it's become, every 40 seconds. Mm-hmm. So that means since I started this presentation, many, many people have decided this is my solution. Mm-hmm. See? Sad thing, isn't it? I just read, again, just a couple of days ago, that the suicide rate among elderly teenagers, what does that mean, 18, 19? Because after 19, you're not a teenager anymore. So I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. The suicide rate among elderly teenagers has doubled since 2007 to 2017. Doubled. Does that mean things are getting better, that people are having more fun, that life is, comfortable, and we're really, really experiencing a nectarian life? No. It means we're going further and further away. And people don't know what to do about it. How are we going to change this? And so they're thinking that this program will help and that program help, and counseling. But no, it won't help, because that person is still spirit soul. He needs real pleasure. You can't convince him with words that he's happy when he's not. You can't say, oh, you're happy now, or just think like this and act like this, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's going to change who he is, that he's going to experience spiritual happiness inside because of that? No. You can see the futility of these attempts. And the attempts are not done because, they want to cheat people. It's just that's all they know. People who are trying to help don't really understand how to help, because they don't know this is a spirit soul. I'm a spirit soul. They need and I need spiritual pleasure. But the Vedic Scriptures teaches that from day one, from the very beginning. That's the platform. Like 1 + 1 is 2. That's where you start. You're spirit soul. You're not the material body. You see. And you have an eternal relationship with the Supreme Soul. You see. And in that broken relationship, that non-functional relationship, you're suffering a big deficit in your life. And therefore, you need to reestablish that. You need to think of who you are and what is your relation with the Supreme. And then, according to this guidance which we have provided for us in the Scriptures and from the spiritual teachers, know how to reestablish and function in that capacity. Then, as you do this, just to a small degree, life gets better. And you do a little more and life gets better. And a little more and life gets even better. You see, the difference between spiritual activities and material activities is very, very distinct. Material activities may start off sweet like nectar, but gradually diminish, and end in bitterness. You see? That's why nothing lasts very long. That's why people say, I'm bored. I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it this many times, and it's just nothing there. So they have to change and bring in some other new nectarian situation, and then it diminishes and diminishes too. And how many of those you got time for in one lifetime? We don't live very long. But that's the difference. It starts off however it does, and then it decreases. But spiritual activity, true spiritual activity, it may start off bitter. I don't like that. Even the philosophy may be grating. See? Just the philosophy itself may make us uncomfortable. I don't like this, you see. Because we're very contaminated. The truth is not very comfortable, see. But if somehow we can remain and apply the teaching and actually, move forward, become purified by these teachings and this process, gradually things get better and better and better and better. You see, one's going like this and one's going like this. See? Opposite. Until it ultimately ends in what is called Ananda. And Ananda means, there's no English equivalent. Ananda means spiritual bliss. We talk about bliss, But there's a complete unknown happiness known as Ananda, spiritual bliss. When the soul is so full of this happiness of the relationship with the Supreme that he enters into this nirvanic state of Ananda. And nirvanic is just a descriptive word that some people have heard. We're not going to get into the depth of that word, but it's a state that is natural for the soul. You see, that's how we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be walking like this all the time. We're supposed to be happy inside, you see. Not because we just took this or drank this, or shot this. I feel good. A few years back, they developed this drug, the chemist of the street, we'll call them. They developed the drug ecstasy, right? I'm sure everybody's heard of it. Maybe some of you know it more personally than others. Ecstasy, why did they give it that word? Why did they give it that name? Because that's what we're looking for, ecstasy. It's so good we can't believe it, right? It's just, I love everybody. Life is so full of love and joy and happiness and everything, you see. But it's very temporary. You go up, you're on this high level, you're just soaring, with the eagles. And then, and the next day you're chewing on a baby dummy, gritting your teeth out, so you can save the molars. It doesn't work. Can't work. Everybody knows, we wanted the name signifies amazing things. But the reality is, it doesn't work. Can't do it chemically. Alter the state of your brain, so your sensory receptors in the brain send a message, oh, this is wonderful. You see. No, it has to be in the heart. It has to be where we are, the spirit soul. And then it's ecstasy all the time. Daytime, nighttime, this lifetime. And when you leave the world, when you're in this state, because this is the highest state of relationship with the Supreme, for this to actually happen, then you go back to the spiritual world, which is our real home. This world is not our home. We don't belong here. We're aliens here. We're trying to make the best use of a bad bargain. You see, we're trying to make it work, but this is not our home. So this is what the truth is. You see. Now, as I say, this is not trendy stuff. People don't like this because it's kind of an in-your-face philosophy. Kind of destroys the illusions. But isn't that a good thing? Is illusion good? You see, no, it's not. We try to deny things. Denial is a good escape route for a while, but that doesn't work either. Like the person who has cancer and he's in denial. I don't have cancer, but he does. You see, and eventually, cancer takes over his body. You see, so denial is not an escape. It's just an unintelligent way to approach the problem. So, what can we do now? Okay, we've heard these things. Maybe some people have accepted, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, what is the next step? The next step is to start doing something. It takes activity. It's not just philosophy. We have to put the philosophy into action. So what should I do now could be the question. Right? All right. So this transcendental sound, we started the program with transcendental sound. Mantra Gauranga. This is not material sound. This is spiritual sound coming from the spiritual world with spiritual power, spiritual potency. For who? For me, the spirit soul. See, it makes sense, doesn't it? Spiritual sound feeds the spirit soul. Material sound feeds the material body. See, the ears, the brain, whatever. Material sound can do what it can do, but it can't do anything spiritual because it has no ability to do it. Transcendental sound is the secret, see? And it's readily available. It's not like hidden somewhere. It's readily available. You just learn the mantra Gauranga. You can use that mantra Gauranga every day of your life from now on, see, and get amazing benefit. See, you don't even have to believe it. You just can do it. Even if you're completely skeptic, no way it can work, but it does. See, you have to believe the sun will work to get a tan. Just go out in the sun. The sun will never tan me, and it just, turns you into a fritter. It burns you up. I didn't think that would happen. Yeah, but it has nothing to do with what you think. The potency is automatically there. All you do is come in contact and it works. You see? Transcendental sound's the same. There's nothing to this. It's all okay. If there's nothing to it, then try it and see. What do you got to lose? And the person that does it on a regular basis will find, yes, it's amazing. It does things I couldn't even imagine. Transcendental sound. This is the secret. See, we're in a very difficult age now, difficult times. Spiritually, the world is basically, far away. We're far away. It's not the focus. How many people are focusing on spiritual life? No, we're focusing on material life. It's kind of been pushed way in the corner or completely eliminated. See, it's a difficult time for the spirit soul to get anything from the surrounding life that everybody's leading. The influences that are upon us in spades, it's very difficult for the spirit soul. But the transcendental sound can overcome all these obstacles. So, this mantra Gauranga, we're going to do a couple of other mantras tonight, so just at the end. So we're going to do those mantras. There's a few mantras. See, you can learn these mantras. And then you can apply them to your life, if you want. You see, to the frequency you want. See, and therefore, you will get that benefit. This is the purifying agent. This is the filter that purifies the contaminated water, so to speak. This purifies the heart. On this planet, 500 years ago, an incarnation of the Supreme Lord appeared in India, small town in India known as Navadvip. And his point of coming, his mission, was to help us in this age we live in now. It's called Kali Yuga. Help us in this age to have a means to overcome all this difficulty. See, there's absence of spirituality in our life, true spirituality. And he gave us a process which is so easy and is exactly what I have said. Hearing and chanting of this transcendental sound, these holy names of the Supreme Lord. And he said in one of his statements, it's called one of the Shikshastaka prayers, he said that these transcendental sounds, these holy names of the Lord, are glorious. He says, all glorious to this hearing and chanting of this transcendental sound, which purifies the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Our heart is accumulated for years and years and lifetimes, see, of association with the material energies. See? It happens. We get contaminated. He said the transcendental sound purifies the heart, cleanses the dust of all of this, all these unwanted desires, all the things, the karmas, all kinds of things that are covering us, see, completely. It purifies, it cleanses it away, you know. And he goes on to say, this is the life of all transcendental knowledge. But one statement he makes at the end of this prayer is, and it enables us to taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. It enables us to taste the nectar. Life is a taste. It's described as a taste because that's so descriptive, you know. Life is a taste, and he says it enables us to taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. Everybody's anxious, but the anxiousness coupled with failure only leads to anxiety and frustration. That anxiousness, when it's fulfilled, leads to ananda, spiritual bliss. This is the secret. This is what is available to each and every person. No one is exempt. The only person that's exempt is the person who is not interested. Then he has exempted himself. He said, no, thank you. I have nothing in my life. I have no place in my life for this. I'm not interested. Okay. That is certainly your freedom, you know, no arguments. But those few, and it is a few, that actually see, yes, this is what I want to do, or just try it, you know, with a little sincerity. Because you need a little sincerity to keep going, right? It's like you buy the exercise machine. You know, they sell thousands of those things, but nobody uses them. You know, go to buy, almost every house has got one or two somewhere in the basement, or, you know, in the attic, or in the storage locker. You know, I had no room for it in my house, man. You know, yeah. Yeah, if you need a little sincerity, a little determination to use the machine, right? To get the benefit, you know, to lose the weight, or to increase your stamina, or to develop your muscles, or just overall health. You need a little determination, you see. So it's the same with spiritual life. So those few who have a little determination, see, a little enthusiasm, then, yeah, they'll get it. They will get it, guaranteed. Because it's there. You know. So this is the message. Take the transcendental sound, add it to your life, and you will taste the nectar for which you're always anxious. And the more you taste it, the more you want to taste more, and therefore it increases and increases. But the beauty of it is, as opposed to material enjoyment, there's no limit. Material enjoyment, how much enjoyment is there? In the best material pleasure, you can imagine how much pleasure is really there. And for the soul, none. But even physically or mentally, you know, it's limited. Really. You know. But spiritual pleasure, unlimited. No limits. See? And the soul is unlimited. So you combine the unlimited pleasure with the unlimited soul, and you got unlimited ananda, spiritual bliss. That's the answer. And if you take this, the problems you have now will diminish, and even if they don't go away, your attitude toward them will change completely. They're not a problem anymore. They're just an event in your life. You know, I deal with it. But it's not a problem. See, it's just something that's occurring, and that's all. See. And tomorrow, things will occur, and the next day, but hey, you know, you're on a different platform now. Let's say you're in a different world. You're in the spiritual world. See, you're in the material world, but you're not of the material world. And it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, so don't think if you wake up in the morning and do Gauranga that your life will be blissful by noon. If it is, great. But if it's not, I can understand that. See, but you're on the right path for sure. You know.